Good evening, everyone, and thanks for attending tonight's vBrownbag. It's extremely exciting because we're kicking off Commitmas tonight with Byron Schaller. He's going to be talking about triggering CI/CD pipelines via Git, and I have it under good authority that there's a live demo. So everyone, cross your fingers and prepare your sacrifices. I'm your host, Tom Green, and I'm going to be handling the social media during the show. We're going to be monitoring the @vBrownbag Twitter handle and the hashtag vBrownbag. So we want it to be interactive and fun. So please tweet, include that. If you're on live, put stuff in chat. I'll be fielding your questions, getting them to Byron as you ask them. And tonight's show is great as part of Commitmas, but it's not our only show. We're worldwide. If you want to check out some of our other feeds, go ahead and go to vbrownbag.com/brownbags to see the schedule. We're in all kinds of different time zones that can accommodate your schedule pretty well. So with that said, I'm going to introduce Byron and let him kind of talk about himself, and then we'll talk more about what Commitmas really means. So Byron, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks. So, hi, I'm Byron Schaller. You can find me on the interwebs. Probably the best place is Twitter @Byron Schaller. I work at a place called Round Tower, do consulting and kind of run our DevOps show over there. I've been working with this stuff for a number of years now. I don't know, 4 or 5 years or so. And hopefully you can show you guys how to get started with the CI/CD pipelines in your home lab. So, thanks, Tom.
Yeah, no problem. That's great. It's always nice to be able to see demos that can be run in your home lab. So.
Yeah, and we are doing it live, so fingers crossed. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, somebody tweet out a GIF of doing it live for me. I can't right now. So, as I mentioned, it was Commitmas. Commitmas is a long-standing tradition that we have in vBrownbag, where we gather around the computer set and try to do a commit every day for either the month of December or the 12 days of Commitmas, which would be the end of the month. So it's fun. It lets you stretch your limitations a little bit, and it's back this year. So if you want to become a member of the Commitmas community, you can go to this link, commitmas-invite.herokuapp.com, and sign up for our Slack channel. So everything has a Slack channel, but we're all on there. It's very helpful. We'll field any questions. There's experts that'll be more than happy to help you there. So the whole spirit of Commitmas is to get out and try to do something new every day. So please do that. If you are completely new to Git, completely new to any of that sort of CI/CD underpinning infrastructure, please go check out our vBrownbag archives on youtube.com/vBrownbag. And we have all of the playlists from the previous years that start from how do I install it on Windows all the way up to the stuff that you'll see tonight. And we have, as also a part of the vBrownbag tradition, end of year giveaways. So there's some really sweet gifts that have been given to us by some fantastic sponsors. And really we're blown away by everyone, just how they've pitched in and how they've really come up to help support the community. So Expedient has offered a couple of Intel NUC i5s for someone to expand out their home lab, maybe try some of the stuff that we're seeing tonight there. So thank you for that. Nutanix is offering airfare and a conference pass out to .next. That's really cool. It's really neat to be able to offer conference passes. It's something different, and it's something really that we appreciate. Rubrik is giving away $500 Newegg gift cards to 2 lucky people. Runecast is giving away 4-socket license of their software. If you're interested in learning about their software's APIs, you can check out the API Zero to Hero playlist where they did a deep dive into their API last week. And there's more. It's just the prizes just keep on coming. And Druva is given a 960 Evo SSD. Those things are really great for helping you with your software-defined storage, speeding up your home labs. Comtrade Software has generously donated a entire kit for a NUC i7. And Ubiquiti has donated a full kit to be able to help with your wireless routing. So how do you win those, you might ask? And what you need to do is go out to vBrownbag.com and check out the blog, which should have updated by the time that you guys are hearing this and see this. Go out there and see if it's updated. Instructions for how to sign up for the giveaways, what you need to do will be out there on the blog. So thank you very much to our sponsors. We'll keep talking about this and plugging it and having details for how to win it whenever that comes and throughout the whole Commitmas. So it pays to tune in. Some really great stuff. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and make you presenter, Byron, and we'll get kicked off with day 1 of Commitmas.
Okay. Let's see how this goes here.
All right, I can see you.
All right. So let me get this down here. All right. So, hey, folks, John reached out to me a little while ago, asked me to talk about CI/CD pipelines, integrating them into Git. I thought for a while about how to do this and what to show. And since most folks who are going to be watching this have an infrastructure and enterprise background, I'm going to be focusing on how to use this for a Docker image pipeline. I figure that's something that most people can grok and see what we're doing here. And for the build tool, I'm going to be using JetBrains TeamCity. Jenkins or Travis or Concourse or any other will work as well. I just find that I see a lot of TeamCity in the wild at clients. And this demo is actually kind of inspired by some work I was doing at a client a little while ago. So hopefully this will be helpful. The general principles should apply to really most any build platform. Just the knobs and widgets will be changed around. So before we get started, kind of want to go over my setup here so everyone can see what I'm working with. I'll be using GitHub, the public Docker Hub, and TeamCity for most everything. I'm running on a Mac. I'm running Docker on my Mac. And for my shell, I'm running iterm2 with Z shell and OMyZH, I believe, for all the cool colors and GitHub plugin stuff, which is pretty cool. If you have any questions about that, reach out to me on Twitter. I can show you how to set all that up. It makes it look really nice. So on here, I have 3 containers currently running. I have 1 TeamCity container and 2 agent build containers, 1 and 2, and that's what we'll be using. This is really easy to set up. If you want to do the same thing, this is all free. I think you can run like 20 build profiles and like 5 agents or something for free on TeamCity. To do that, here's the repo for the agent, and the same person here has a TeamCity image out on the Docker Hub as well. Download that, get these both started, and it's pretty straightforward. All right, so what we're going to do today on my GitHub here, I've got a public repo where I have a Docker file for a Ubuntu custom container. This is all gonna be pretty simple. I didn't want to get too mired down in the details of like the Docker file and things like that. I just wanted to show how you basically stitch all these pieces together. So on my laptop here, I've got that cloned down, and I've just got the super simple Docker file, right? So I'm going to pull the latest Ubuntu image out there. I've got myself set as the maintainer, and I'm going to run apt-get on it and update it. Going to open up port 222 and start a shell. Real straightforward. So first thing we need to do is get this set up so that when I make a commit on here, it is going to kick off our pipeline. So we need to build that pipeline. So this is TeamCity. I am logged in as the admin right now. And the first thing we're going to do is create a project. So when you get into the overall TeamCity page, when you first log in, I believe if you go to administration, yeah, this is what pops up. So you can see here I have 2 agents registered. I'll talk more about that here in a sec, but we're going to make a project. So, again, doing it live, I forgot to do something, so we're going to go back and fix that real quick here. Bear with me. So what I forgot to do was remove my connection that already exists. So we're going to delete this so we can make a new one. All right. So back under admin, create project. And so you can make a manual project. You can do it from sources or Bitbucket or GitHub. I'm going to be using GitHub. So we're going to set up a connection. And it's really straightforward. So since I'm running all this local, I have TeamCity aliased out of my etc host file to localhost. So it'll all work. We're going to register TeamCity. And that's going to take us to GitHub. So I'm already logged in as GitHub as me, so it knows that. We're going to call this TeamCity Docker build pipe. Sure, that works. You can call it whatever you want. All right, so it's going to ask for this homepage URL and this authorization callback URL, which TeamCity has given us right here. So we're going to copy those over here, paste those in. You can add an app description if you want to. And what you're doing is basically setting up OAuth authentication to create a token that GitHub will recognize from TeamCity and allow it to connect without having to enter in passwords and all that jazz. So we're going to go into register. And what we need here is this client ID and this client secret that it generates. So we're going to copy those, go back here, enter them in. And save. Okay, so if everything worked out correct, let's see, let's cite it. Yep, so it's going to go through the whole OAuth thing. It's basically just going to say, okay, I'm going to authorize myself here. I have to enter my password. And we are authorized. All right, so close this out. It's going to list out all of my repos that I can use here. So we've got our Ubuntu Docker file repo here. We're going to click that. Do verify. Okay, so we've created a new project in TeamCity. Our VCS repository is listed as GitHub, and the repo that we want to use. We're going to proceed, and we're almost done here. Next thing that we have to do is enter in build steps. Now you can set it up so that there's build steps in your repo that it pulls automatically, but that's a little confusing. So we're just going to do some manual build steps here just to make it do a thing. So there we go. Configure build steps, add a build step, and we're going to use a command line build step. We're going to call this build and push, or build and publish, or whatever you want to call it. If all previous steps, there's only one, so that doesn't really apply. Working directory, we're going to leave blank. So this is going to execute in the directory that it clones our GitHub repo into. We're going to run a custom script, and I have that saved here. And we're going to do this. So I'll walk through this here. Actually, it's probably easier to see here. So what we're going to do is it's going to clone this repo. This repo contains a Docker file. So it's going to run a Docker build on this image name, Byron Schaller / Ubuntu-custom, and then it's going to tag it with this build number variable. Every time this build runs, it's going to increment the build number variable. So if we run this several times from several different commits, we're going to have a bunch of images stored up in our Docker repo with tag 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. You can make this whatever you want to. However, if you want to do semantic versioning or however you want to customize this with your variables, the world is your oyster there. So we're going to run that in present working directory. So dot. And then I'm going to log in to the Docker Hub. Now, there's better ways to do this where you can actually generate tokens and things like that. So you're not actually storing a plain text password in your build pipe. But for simplicity's sake, we're just going to do this to make it easy. But don't do this in production. Then as soon as I'm logged into the public Docker Hub, I'm going to push this image, and it should increment in the hub. So I have the image up here already. Under tags, I should have one up here with tag 0, right? So it's there. If all this goes right, then we're going to get a build that succeeds and a new image up here with a tag of 1 for the first build. So that all looks good. One thing to talk about here is triggers. So what this VCS trigger means is it's for any branch on this repo. When a commit is made, it will trigger the build. It checks every minute, so it is teamcity checking the repo. It is not a push from the repo, so that's clear. And it's going to trigger the build. We can watch that happen. I think there's anything else here I want to talk about before we kick it off. I think we're good. All right, so this is set. We have our trigger. And it looks like I didn't save the build step. All right, we'll do that again real quick. Okay. Push. Custom script. Boom. Okay. This time we're going to save it. All right. So before we kick it off, let's talk about agents for a sec. So these agents out here are Linux Docker containers that are running Docker and Docker to spin up new containers. And so how that works is you don't really nest them down, so it's like Docker inside of Docker inside of Docker. That gets kind of messy. It's going to launch them as sibling containers and share some namespace, and it's going to be a cleaner way to do it. If you download this teamcity agent from this fellow here, he kind of explains that, but it's basically all set up for you. So we're going to go here. All right, have our build step. That's all set. All right. So now we're going to do a commit and see if it works. So I'm just going to make a real easy change here. I had this comment that I was testing earlier. Change it to hello, the brown bag folks. Hooray. All right. We're going to save that out and go here and do a add dot. I have our little plus there showing that we have change, just to show that. Get status, we have our modified Docker file there, so we're going to do a git commit. Brown bag comments. All right. And, oh, it helps if you have the dash m. There we go. Okay. And git push. Okay. All right. We are up. Let's check out what's going on here. Git. All right. We have our commits. So in theory, we should have a build kickoff. So let's check. Okay, there's a couple of ways to see this happen. Under agents, right now they're both idle. An agent will be selected to run the job, and then you can click on the link through it to see it run. Also, this little bar here is, yep, there we go. It's going to show that one of our agents is being used, and that'll fill up as your agents are used. All right, so here it shows the Docker build file pipe is running. If we click into it fast enough, oh, looks like it already succeeded. Check our build log. I'll go through and show that it succeeded and pulled already. It likes all the stuff it has. Right, so that was a success. We now have our #1 tag image. So this is pretty simplistic and straightforward, but the goal here is to show how you can store your Docker file in GitHub, because you should always version all of your Docker files for your containers, set up a simple pipeline to automatically publish them to your repo, and some other stuff that you can do along the way here that makes this actually pretty useful. Let's go back to add configuration settings. So under our build steps, we can integrate things like this is right. Yeah, so things like Claire from CoreOS. Claire is a vulnerability scanning tool for CI/CD pipelines for containers. I run into a lot of places where security folks and people in the governance side of things are really leery about containers because they're ephemeral and all that stuff. This is a really good way to get around that by integrating something like Claire into your pipeline. It's totally open source and free to show folks that when you're doing this, first off, you are tracking all of your changes to your Docker files. You know that they are what they say they are. They're going through the same pipeline every time. Your images are built the same way. And then by adding things in like security scanning and other application testing things, stuff like server spec and things like that, you can do some behavioral testing on your application containers themselves to prove that when you push them to production, they're all going to work. So stuff like port 80 is open and your web page is firing up and all that good stuff. So it's real high level. We'll probably get into more advanced stuff like adding in security scanning and adding in, tokens for your passwords, do plain text and all that stuff in later videos. But just wanted to set the groundwork right now of just how to get that initial CI/CD pipeline up up and running. Again, this is super straightforward. This TeamCity container and the agents just work straight out of the box, really. You can run them either locally or run them in ECS or however you want to, and get your own pipeline up and running with 5 agents and 20 build specs for free. You can really do a lot. So it's a good way to get started. Check it out again. Same rules apply for Jenkins and all this other stuff. Just follow their docs on how you create your project and how you do your build step and how you link to GitHub. But it should be pretty easy. And if you have any questions, you can either reach out and chat now or hit me on Twitter later, and I'll be happy to help. But this is something I do for a lot of folks, and it's a nice way to get into the habit of Docker image lifecycle management, which is really key when you're going to start to roll out Docker containers across your enterprise. You need to have a pipeline to do it, just to keep things sane. So that's what I have. Tom, do we have any questions, comments, things I can address?
Graham went out and found that the free license or free versions, 100 build configs, full access to product features, and 3 build agents.
Oh, I have to change it. Okay, that's a new version then. Yep, because mine's limited to 20 and 5. But yeah, so three build agents gives you 3 builds at a time, which is probably more than you'll need. And 100 build configs, that's great. You can have one for every different Docker file you have. There's 2 schools of thoughts on how to do repos for your Docker files. Either you can have 1 repo per file, or you have 1 Docker files repo with all of your Docker files, and you can do some parsing in there to figure out which one to build, what's changed, and things like that. But no, that's great. With 100 build configs, you can do quite a bit.
And we have Ken, who says every time that he views one of your presentations, he feels like a dog floating around in space with no idea what he's doing.
Oh, I assure you, this stuff is not that hard. No, I learned this stuff just by going and reading docs and watching vids too. So I assure you, when you have the use case for it, it makes a lot of sense. And when you start pushing containers out and having to do scans and things like that, it'll all come together. But if there's any way I can help, let me know.
So speaking of use cases, we have a question for how would you pull this all together for using a Windows application?
That's a really good question. Honestly, most of the containers I work with are Linux-based. There's no reason why this would not work on Windows-based containers. As far as running Docker on Windows, you can do that and run these containers just fine. I guess is the question running a Windows-based container or running these containers on Windows?
Let's say a Windows-based container for sake of that, because that sounds interesting to me.
That's a fine question that I wish I could help you with, but it's honestly I've never done it. In theory, it should all work the same. What you would have to do is I don't know. So I mean, if you're building your Docker file and it supports Windows containers and you can build it with the Docker APIs, all this should still work fine. I don't see why it wouldn't.
And then also, what about pipelines for Windows apps without containers? So if, say, take Docker out of it, I know this is talking about Docker, but.
So I know a little bit about this. There's some folks I work with who know a lot more. But VSTS, Visual Studio Team Services, I believe it is now, is what I would use for .NET applications, either in Azure or locally. Those pipes are really easy to set up. They have super nice features. I would probably use VSTS. That being said, there's no reason why you couldn't use TeamCity or something else, but all the .NET shop sites I visit are usually on VSTS for both repository management and their build pipes. That being said, it does support Git. It's not like fully native Git like you kind of get with GitHub and GitLab and stuff like that. It's a little different. And some of the stuff that you do with webhooks in other systems doesn't work the same. But it's all pretty well documented, and it should be easy to figure out. But yeah, VSTS, especially on Azure, for .NET apps, is the way to go.
Yeah, that's really helpful. So
yeah, sure. And the MVP community out there from Microsoft is super great. Just visit their forums if you have questions, or like their subreddits. Those people are super helpful. And if you want to get started with like VSTS, I know there's like there's a free version. I don't know if that's still through MSDN or what they call their dev stuff now. But you can get a free version for yourself and a small team that you can play around with and test out.
yeah, I think that's Visual Studio Dev Essentials.
Yes, that's exactly it.
So, yeah, go get that, everybody. This isn't necessarily a Microsoft thing, but you get free Azure time and you get all these cool, fun toys to play with.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I am an Atom guy because I run a Mac and I like Atom a lot. But I know lots of folks who use Visual Studio Code. I've used it a few times, and it's a great text editor IDE. Comparison to like Atom, or I think it's better than like Notepad++ or any of that stuff. Really, really well made editor.
Yeah, Atom's really good on Windows too. So.
Oh no, I love Atom. Yeah,
that's what I use.
You just got to keep your plugins updated, but other than that, you're good.
Yeah. Oh. All right. So, if anybody else has any other questions, I'll try to have this up tomorrow. So I saw that question come through.
Yep. And again, if anyone has any questions about how or why I did what I did here, again, Twitter is great. I try to be responsive as much as I can, and get back to folks. But places where I learned how to do this stuff really is just a lot of reading, like the TeamCity docs. It's all pretty straightforward, and there's a lot of good blogs out there too on how to get integrated with more non-standard things. So stuff like Concourse and newer build tools. There's a ton of good stuff that Pivotal has out around there on integrating the same kind of pipes too.
So in the Commitmas spirit, here's a good thing. So there's somebody who doesn't necessarily have the opportunity to use this professionally.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you kind of went through just a little bit about just now, but how would you recommend them kind of getting involved with some sort of Git repo to work on something like this, or how to bring it up to try to start transformation within a company that maybe just does monolithic applications?
So that's why I use the Docker file example, really. So it's a really good way to start using Git, even if you're not a dev, and you want to do stuff with CI/CD, and you're probably going to be doing something with containers with that. You should be versioning your own containers, not just going into like Docker. I mean, you can start going to like Docker Hub and just downloading other folks, but excuse me, much like Chef Recipes or Puppet or whatever, you should use those as inspiration to write your own Docker files and learn how to do that. Version those in Git. Either use a web-based pipeline like Travis or Circle or something that I think are still free, or run this in your home lab and just learn how it all works. There's not enough people out there who know how these things work. Trust me, I see it every day. So these skills are super in demand and valuable, and just versioning your own containers for your own testing and running your own pipes, you're going to have basically the same skill set as most entry-level folks who are doing release management and pipeline engineering and things like that, are what they now call, I guess, just a DevOps engineer. this is really the core skill set of that is, how do you manage pipelines? How do you do version control and repo management? And how do you work with containers? If you can kind of do your own pilot thing to get all those three skills at the same time, you're ahead of the game. As far as internal evangelism, just find a small group of people who have a good use case, who are excited about it, and build a thing. Usually there are ways to do it within the rules and guidelines and policies of like your organization, but build something cool, show it to people, get them excited, and go from there. Do something that shows value. There's the old story of the guy who invented recommendations at Amazon, just did it and showed people and said, this is cool, then showed it work. And they're like, no, this is really cool. And they went on to adopt it. So the grassroots thing is always good unless you have, massive executive buy-in, then that always helps. But yeah, just find a small team and build something cool. Start there.
Larry Smith wants me to ask you about that custom script you're showing right now, and if you think that would work.
Oh, it'll work. I wouldn't do it in production, to be totally honest.
Your awkward build?
I would definitely not hard code passwords into a script. But there's ways to do that where you can save a credentials file and all that stuff that you could do a multi-build step with an SSH upload and things like that we can take offline or go into later. But it will definitely work. It's just not the most secure thing in the world.
I think he was poking fun that there's missing a D in Docker there.
Oh, yeah, no, that's just how it displays. Oh, there we go. Oh, no, it is. You're right. It still worked either way. That's funny.
Yeah. So one more question.
I didn't see that. Nice.
Oh, you got called out on it on Twitter, so you have that.
Doing it live. That's what happens. No worries.
So Francisco asks, is this similar to Jenkins? Yeah.
So TeamCity is, a build runner just like Jenkins is. You can, instead of build steps in here, you have, the pipeline in Jenkins, or in Jenkins, if I can say it. But yeah, no, the GitHub OAuth stuff is the same basically. You're going to pass in your client ID and secret, and it all should just work. Same rules apply. It's just going to clone it into your Jenkins slave and then run whatever you tell it to run.
Very cool. I was quoting Francisco, but also saying so myself. This has been really nice. If there's any more questions, come ahead and type them in. But this has been a great kickoff to Commitmas.
Yeah, I guess my 2 cents about build systems. Jenkins is great. The reason I like TeamCity a little bit better than Jenkins, at least for smaller free projects, is if you want to do most advanced stuff with like Jenkins files and Jenkins, you have to know Groovy, which is like JavaScript is Java, Groovy is to Java kind of too. No, that's wrong. No, it's like a light script version of Java. That's not the most intuitive thing to use, but it's not terrible either. But I think TeamCity is a little bit easier to get up and running without having that extra baggage of that scripting part inside of your pipeline.
Cool. Larry Smith has reached out on Twitter as well and said that he's extending the same offer that you extended earlier, Byron, to reach out to him for anyone who may have questions as well. So we're getting the commitment spirit here. Everybody's is offering to help
Ah,
out.
that's awesome. I've known Larry through Twitter for years, and he definitely knows what he's doing. So, no, great. Yeah, I mean, I cannot say enough good things about Twitter or the people on Twitter. They've helped me a ton, and it's the first place I go for help. So, absolutely reach out.
Yeah. So with that, I think all of the questions have ended. So thank you very much. And we really appreciate your time kicking this off. And this has been a really, really great demonstration. Really great. Basically, a live demo the whole time, I think.
Yeah, slidewires for soccer's now. Just kidding, totally kidding. Nah, but yeah, folks, do it live. It's fun.
Yeah.
So, thanks for having me. It's been a blast. And again, if I can help in any way, folks, please reach out. Thanks.
And the Commitmas giveaway is now live. If you go to the blog over on vBrownbag.com, there's a form where you can sign up for the prize that you wish to sign up for, and the drawing will be done on the 11th or 12th, depending on when JFrap wakes up. It says, and will be announced live on the 13th. So go ahead and sign up, vBrownbag.com blog, and there's all those great prizes to win. So with that, I think we're through here. So thanks everyone for joining. Thanks again, Byron, and we'll see you guys next week.